Alrighty, then today we are going to look at making miniatures. Something Games Workshop doesn't want you to do, but I'm about to show you how easy it really is. I'm using Chitu box, or however you pronounce it. It's very easy to use. I'm using it with an Antcubic resin printer, so the plate is going to be suspended from the top. You don't need to know any of that. All you need to know is this is your printed bed. I've downloaded some, let's see, where are they? So I've downloaded some Imperial Guard / Human Defense Force from One Page Rules because I like those miniatures. And I've downloaded them from their pack number 1. And today I want to look at the Grunt robots. So let's take those. Now I'm going to select all of those and say open, and there it goes. It places those on the bed for me, which is nice. But this is obviously not how I'm going to print them. So let's select all of them, move them to the middle. Now I like to have 20mm, not 28mm. So what I do is I reduce these down to 70%. There we go, there's that. So now they're the right size for me. Originally they come 28mm, so if you play 28mm like most chaps, you won't have to do that. But then I also have found that printing them standing up a little bit leaning back is the best way to go. And there we are. So if I unselect those, there we are. Now we have these guys here pretty much ready to go. Now if we look at the lists, so this is my list. So Grunt robots I can have, even if I extend it, I can have 20 in a 2,000 point army. So that's how many I want. The nice thing is when you're printing miniatures, you can bounce backwards and forwards to your list, and it's kind of like going shopping, except you don't pay an arm and a leg and a kidney. So these are the models I want. Now I need 20 of them. So what you do is Control C, copy, and then Control V will paste. So let's drop a few more in. So that gives us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15. Who do I like? I like these guys. So 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Now I want to do a few more because I want to do some test paints and maybe firefight. So let's just drop in a few more. So there's those guys set up ready to go. Alright, so we've got our models on the bed. I could keep adding to this, but for the sake of this video and for the sake of my list, this is really all I need from these guys. So the next thing we'll do is select them all again. Now, because printers print from the plate going up, or really it's resin, it'll be upside down from the plate down, but some of this will be just hanging in midair, so you have to add what's called supports, which the program will do for you. They've got really good at this now. So if you head across up here to the support section, you'll see that it will start arranging these off the bed, getting them ready, and it will place what's called a raft underneath them, which will give you, there we go. So that gives each model its own little area to place. You can manually sit here and place supports. You see that? Yeah, let's zoom in. You can sit here and say, well, that bit will be in the air, let's add a support. Nobody's going to do that. Well, some people might, but I don't want to be associated with those types of people. So if you go here, auto support, and it will figure out, and again, they've got really good at this. I use for these models what's called light supports, so they're very thin. They don't need to carry a lot of weight, and you can see how many it puts on there. It's quite a few. So, you know, it'll go through and it's going to add supports. I'll probably fast forward this. My computer isn't fast, it's just I'm fast forwarding. There we go, and that's it, they're ready to go. So now I am going to go back to normal mode up here. Here we go. If it's off, you can actually move these now. You never used to be able to. If you moved them, it'd get rid of all the supports. So they're getting cleverer and cleverer. So that's it. That's going to be my plate. That's what will come out the other end. So the next thing I need to do is slice it, which is here. And what that does is it goes through and it slices them up into layers that the printer will expose UV light, thin layer by thin layer, into the pool of resin. And then where the UV hits it, that's where the resin goes solid. So there we go, it's done. And then you'll see as we move up, these are the layers that the plate will expose. So that's going to be the screen underneath the resin. Will expose layer by layer. So you don't need to know that, but it's nice to know how the thing works. So once we got that, we save it. I save it to a USB. Some machines you can just send it to them over wireless or over the network. I'm old-fashioned. I do USB. That way, once I get a USB full, I usually keep them all the same, and then I save everything on the USB on the computer, and I'll have a library of things neatly arranged because I'm not a neat person and I lose things. So let's go USB drive, Grunts, save, and there we go. So now that's on the USB, I can plug that, and the next thing we do, I'll see you over at the machine. Alright, we are, excuse the camera, I'm using the cheapy webcam, but here we're at. This is the Antcubic. It's a Photon Mono M5S resin printer, and this is what I print my minis on. I used to have the Antcubic. It was a massive, great machine. I liked it for a while, but I've had two of them and they both broke within a year. This one has just been chugging on. The print area is less, but that's fine as long as they keep working. They're not that expensive, so you know, definitely well worth it. I might put a price up when I do the editing of what these are at the moment. It's not a current model, but it's, again, good enough for what we use it for. So we've got our file ready to go. I've got the USB in there. Just to give you an overview, this is a UV proof lid, stops the resin going hard from the normal lighting, which still takes a while, but you don't want to leave it open to lighting all the time. In here is the resin. It's like a resin bath. The bottom of this tray is see-through, and then underneath that is a UV screen that lights up to the layers that I showed you when we were making it. So I use water resin, water-based resin. That way you don't have to have any funky chemicals. It doesn't stink quite so bad. Well, in fact, I quite like it. I'm used to it. Now it's got a maximum fill line here, so I'm gonna put some more in. You don't really need more, but just to show you, it's not hard to print figures. There we go, and no mess. Okay, after that work call, I forgot to put my mic back on, so I'm now dubbing over and trying to remember what the heck it was I was doing. I'm taking off to that. I was going to show, the plate. I was going to show you the plate. So that's the plate. That's what it sticks to, like you saw on the computer when I was setting it up. And because you want it to stick to the plate well, what I did was I got myself a magnetic plate. So what you can do is you can take the plate off and flex it, because otherwise if they stick too good, you're going to be grabbing it off with a spatula and breaking everything. So those are always good to get. And then I don't know what else I was waffling on about. Oh, there you go. That's me talking about the spatula. And it's really hard to overdub stuff when you can't remember what you were talking about. Anyway, let's put that plate back in, and then we're going to put the cover back on. There we go. And then basically the front panel will show me what I've got on the USB, so I can go through those files on that little touchscreen. By the way, don't break those because they're hard to find. I've done it. There's the file, so you just hit the file that you want to print, tell it to, and then you hit print, and then that's it. It will tell you how long it's going to be. That was I think 3 hours the print. So at this point, I think I said I'll be back when the printing's done. Alrighty, so well, camera's bugging out, but that's fine. They're done. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is a batch of figures. Now, I am not going to put them in the wash and cure, because this is not a studio with nice blue and green, red and green lights. No, what I'm going to use is something that works better. It's just a bug of water. So, grab them off. Remember, this is water resin. Just slush it around in here. Get them off the top of my plate. Should wear gloves. I'm not gonna though. There we go. Now, there are discussions online about how much you have to wash these, but I found doing this for about 40 seconds to a minute. Now, the reason I don't use the wash and cure is because I have to take them all apart, drop them in the bucket, mess around with them. It's just way quicker doing this. Once you've done this, you can... Let me get that camera going again. Once they're washed off, you just pop the plate off and put it over the drip dryer. Putting my new plate on. That back on. And I'm ready to print again. That's how easy that is. So I'm going to let these dry off for a little bit. And I'll show you the hardening process that I use. Alrighty, I've let them dry off a little. I got them on the table here, and this here is the carousel plate that will go on the curing part of the Antcubic. So let's see. I'm kind of new to doing this to camera, so bear with me. So if you flex this, then you can get under them and then lift them off quite easily. Before I had this, I used to, because I like that they stick a lot, I used to have to scrape them off. Now, this is kind of a fun bit when it goes right. These supports, you can just pop these off, and you can Pop these and just pull the model off. And then pop the supports off. There we have one Grunt. And I tend to get kind of aggressive with them because, see, they come off really easy. And if a couple of them break, if I get too aggressive, it doesn't matter because I can print them by the bucket load. Anyway, I'm going to crack on with these. I'll get back to you when I'm done. Alrighty, so got that loaded up. They're all off. They're all on there. It took me, I don't know, 10 minutes, if that. So this is the wash and cure that I got. I don't use it to wash just because it's a pain in the butt. It's easier just to throw it in a bucket and shake it off when you're using the water-based resin. I could see why you'd want it if you're using the other resin, because, you know, having a bucket of isopropyl probably isn't good for you. So you can keep it in a sealed container and pop that in there. But I use water resin. So now I use this secure, but what I also did was I added an extra UV lamp that I just hang over here from the top, just because then it just goes a lot quicker instead of these. I mean, these are pretty, but this is the Hermitage. We don't do pretty. We do what works better. So plunk this back on so the UV doesn't get all over the place. Put it on, I don't know, 6 minutes, more than enough. Turn on the power of that one. There we go. They are now going to be cured by UV solid. So I might stop them and move them around a little so that the undersides get cured properly. But when they're that small, that thin, it's not that big of a deal. So, alrighty, I will get back to you when they're done. Alrighty, so they're done. They cooked, they baked. Here they come. My Stacko robots, as you saw, from beginning to end now. And I don't know how good this camera's going to be, but you know, the detail's fine. You got to remember too, these are shrunk down to 20mm, so I find these more than acceptable, especially because they cost me, this whole pile cost me $1 or less. Plus the cost of the STL, obviously. But once you have them, I can print as many as you want. So, there we go. That is the Hermitage's way of manufacturing minis. So there we go, there we have it. That was the get miniatures from beginning to end. I don't want to, you know, I'm saying under $1. That's what it cost me to actually print them from beginning to end. I mean, if you really want to add in the cost of the STLs and the cost of the printer, you know, it depends how many you're going to print. I mean, I know since I've been doing this, I've printed hundreds of the buggers. So, you know, which brings the cost down and down and down because you're splitting the cost of the hardware across however many miniatures you do. So I guess, you know, no, it isn't for everybody. If you're just gonna do, I don't know, 50 minis or something, it's probably better off just buying them. But I like to have, you know, miniatures at my fingertips. I guess, you know, I can have every army under the sun if I just buy the STLs and off I go. So So you also get a lot of choice, I think. You can, if you have a certain artistic style you like, you know, there are so many talented sculptors out there anymore. You can pick from their stable of STLs. Also, you know, I play fantasy, so it's not just Warhammer 40k style armies. I can print off, you know, all of the fantasy armies that I want. So, I mean, if you're into the hobby, then, you know, it's definitely worth it. It's easy as anything to do, and it's getting easier every 6 months to a year. It's just one step closer to, you know, just close your eyes and push print, basically. So, anyway, that's that part of the manufacturing done at the Hermitage. Please have discussions, questions below. More than happy to help anybody or answer any questions. Keep it nice, and thank you very much for watching the video. Like and subscribe and all that good stuff.